this time, we already prepared the budget for 2026. Hopefully, we will submit after this August. Yeah. But of course, it is both an honor and pleasure to join you at this 8th National Research and Development Conference. So thank you for welcoming me into this important gathering of minds and movers in innovation space. Today, my task is to present a subject close to our country's development aspiration. That is enabling innovation agenda, aligning budget execution, empowering Philippine innovation. So together, let's explore how strategic fiscal alignment can unlock the full potential of our nation's innovation ecosystem. When I received the invitation and saw the theme for the year's conference, it was the term leverage. That, of course, stood out to me. So as a budget person, okay, leveraging government's relatively limited resources, or what we call the fiscal space, takes a significant amount of effort and skill in its workforce. Because ang hirap po talaga pag-budget, hirap pag-allocate with the limited resources. Okay. So as such, identifying programs, priorities that will contribute to the national development has become increasingly important. Just to give you lang, you see for this 2026 budget preparation, there is around 10.1 billion, but we only have a space of 6.790 billion. So, napakahirap po mag-allocate. Now, in the post-COVID era, the need for research and development remains as a science, technology, and innovation continue to take influential part in improving leaders with informed decisions, particularly in the sector of health, economy, and education. So the challenge, however, remains the question on how. How can we improve funding allocation for science, technology, and innovation is our subject matter today. Okay. How can we better utilize the allocated funds for the country's innovation efforts over the years? Actually, hindi lang yung katalungan para sa ito. That is for all. How can we improve spending on science, technology, and innovation programs that will boost national productivity? Well, we will examine these questions in my discussion. Now, I would like to ask you all to use your creative imagination, okay? Imagine that the Philippines, where innovation isn't just a buzzword, but a budget priority, which is actually priority naman talaga, where science, technology, and innovation are not sidelined, but is strategically funded to shape our future. How would the society look like? How many government-funded research and development projects resulted in valuable products and services for Filipinos? How many research and development institutions or IDIs were enabled to become self-sustaining and competitive, capable of fostering partnership with the private sector, managing intellectual property, and engaging in technology transfer activity? How much access does the public have to R&D generated technology and knowledge? How involved are government and non-government stakeholders and the public in developing science and technology policies? In our imagined society and in present place, now let us see how our imagined society for SEI equates with the fiscal year 2024 budget for science, technology, and innovation. As you can see on the screen, okay, the Philippines allocated 19.809 billion pesos to SEI. This equates to 0.07% of the 2024 gross domestic product, or GDP. While this may seem like a modest percentage, it's a signal that the Philippine government is beginning to align its fiscal strategy with its innovation ambition. Medyo maliit nga lang, but at least we have from here billion pesos. To give everyone a better picture, we should let the numbers tell the story. On the screen, makikita nyo po, from 22 to 2025, SBI funds have fluctuated, taking in 2023, nakabox, at 22.78 billion from the 5.268 trillion national budget. Now in 2022, SBA budget is allocated with 20.34 billion out of the 5.024 trillion national budget. Now in 2024, 19.8 billion out of the 5.768 trillion national budget, and in 2025, 22.36 billion out of the 6.826 trillion budget we have. This highlights a growing awareness of SBI funding, okay? Recognizing evolving budgetary trends from 2022 to 2025. It also underscores opportunity to enhance the share of SBI in the national budget, paving the way for stronger investments in science, technology, and innovation. Now, let us see how these funds are distributed across economic and education sectors. If I incorporate the dimension of the budget. Okay. For fiscal year 2025, SBI received 1.37% of the economic services budget, totaling 12.4 billion out of 906.2 billion pesos. In 2023, SBI received 1.47% of the economic services budget, totaling 30.77 billion out of 937.073 billion. Now, on the education budget, SBI received 0.50%, totaling 4.712 billion out of 938.517 billion. Though this is a drop from the 0.84% SBI budget out of the education budget in 2022, which totals 6.258 billion out of 741.76 billion. In our imagined world, SBI programs are developed with abundance of funding. Kung i-imagine na natin, marami yan. Okay. And because the funding is surplus, okay, how we execute the budget is less, of course, important. However, in reality, sa totoong buhay, okay, our government must cope of what we call budget utilization rates, or BUR, which shows how the budget is implemented. Pero, when discussing BURs at the Department of Budget and Management Law, you need to be aware of two terms. These are the obligation budget utilization rate and disbursement budget utilization rate. So, dalawa po yun ha. Obligation BUR and disbursement BUR. The obligation budget utilization rate is an essential performance indicator or metric which determines how effectively government agencies use their allocated budgets. It is the percentage of allotted budget that has been obligated or kumbaga nakuha siya by government agency over a given period. So contract has been, of course, signed and awarded. So the disbursement budget utilization on the other hand ay yung tinatawag namin financial performance indicator that measure how much an obligated budget of government agency has disbursed or paid over a given period. Ito yung pumapasok na po operations report sa ating Bureau of Treasury. When application BUR tracks commitments, disbursement BUR tracks actual payments. So, see the difference po. Okay. In 2023, the Philippines obligation BUR for SDF programs was 91.88%, while disbursement BUR was 86.55%. Now, as of March 2025, obligation BUR for SDF program is at 30.46%, while its disbursement BUR was 68.29%. So the percentage are low rather, because these are recorded by the end of the quarter. One of this year, it will still improve towards the latter part of the year. Kasi quarterly po ang aming monitoring dito. Now, the DBM recognizes that government agencies have an assortment of challenges when it comes to improving their budget utilization rates. Okay? However, based on our observation, the following three spending constraints account for most issues that government agencies face. Preferred challenges that was discussed earlier, okay? Incomplete documentary requirements and organizational and implementation challenges. Now, when we think of or we talk about procurement challenges, we refer to issues like what? Unsuccessful bids, bakit kaya? Limited supplier availability, and in many cases, the highly specialized nature of the required equipment, which limits supplier options and increases procurement complexity. So that's why it's very important for the procurement line. Okay? When we say incomplete documentary requirements, we mean that government agencies were unable to submit the required or necessary papers such as mga MOA po natin, project proposals, and financial reports, all of which are required for fund release, project implementation, and actual payment. Now, the failure or delay in submitting this requirement has an impact on timely utilization of the budget resources. Totoo po yan. Kaya importante po. Now, when we talk about organizational and implementation changes, we refer to issues like rescheduling project timeframes and frequent changes in project leadership, all of which can disrupt implementation and cost delays. Kaya po, importante po sa amin yung consistency, okay, kung sino yung namamahala dito sa programa at projects. Now, the government agencies may develop catch-up initiatives that address these innovation roadblocks. These include conducting early procurement activities, yung EPA, tinatawag natin, procurement, reviewing internal procurement process, streamlining documents, of course, and developing contingency plans for projects and organizational changes. However, when considering a more impactful solution to these challenges, the DBM's Program Convergence Budgeting or PCB under Joint Memorandum Circular Number 2025-1 between the Department of Budget and Management and the Department of Economy Planning and Development could help improve the funding and implementation of SDR programs in the country. Ito pong PCB is a strategic budgeting approach that aims to align and coordinate government resources across departments and agencies that are all working together to same development goals. Kung baka they should be working in silence. It encourages agencies to work together by sharing what? Resources and efforts on government programs and projects.